What's up, XRP family? Thank you for joining the video for today. So, we have a special episode for you guys. A lot of good stuff happening and a lot of surprises. And I will show you some things that are really taking place at the moment, guys, which are a bit hidden from you. And I did some research and I came across very interesting stuff, guys. Now, I don't usually show stuff like this because it gets too much, and usually I just show the news for the day, but today I wanted to make a special episode. Let's take a look. Mr. Pool dropped some very interesting stuff. Before we dig in, guys, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you very much. So here we go with the last tweets from Mr. Pool. First, he tweets out this one. Everything gets light. And then there's partly light and partly dark. Lightning up the corridors to the moon. You messed up the order. Pole shift. A lot of people are speculating that he's talking about Japan launching its ODL. And now the rest of the world will follow. So let's take a look what he tweeted else, because it's very interesting. He has been tweeting a lot of sun stuff, guys. It means that the sun is finally here, that it's almost time, and I think August is gonna be a very big month. We can see 2 digits this month, guys. It's possible. And I know a lot of people don't believe that, but once it's happening, they will talk differently, because it just takes a fraction of seconds before the shift takes place, and you cannot know when it will happen. That's the whole thing. So here we have another Mr. Pool drop with the sun coming up. Month of gold. Does this mean something happens tomorrow? August 2nd, tomorrow, it's gonna be huge, guys. This week is gonna be huge, okay? There is a lot of money flowing in crypto this week. I showed you that in my previous video. Go watch it if you didn't see it. It tells that Germany has up to $415 billion going in crypto this month. So be aware of that. Understand that. Understand what's going to happen, because the next bull run is on the horizon. So let's dig in some really interesting stuff. This is the IMF lays out vision for digital money transition. So they actually acknowledge, guys, they acknowledge that CBDCs are the future. It's just a fact now. It's not something anymore that they are speculating about. No, it's happening right now, right here, okay? And we can see in the paper, the IMF laid out its vision of its evolution. It also addressed how it will seek to partner with other organizations like central banks, regulators, and the World Bank. While only published this week, the IMF discussed the March dated paper in April. Let's take a look at this paper, guys. This is the official website of the IMF. You can click here for the free download, and then we get this paper. Now, I want you to pay attention to what I'm about to tell you guys. Now, they talk about a lot of stuff in this paper, and you should definitely read some stuff. You don't have to read everything, but it would be good if you read some of this stuff. Here you have the second group consists of other institutions active in the area of digital money, such as the Bank for International Settlements and the BIS Innovation Hub. The former has a small, tough, active, and forward-looking research team, and the latter is actively engaged in fostering collaboration on innovative financial technology. So you have to understand something, because the BIS just released Project Nexus. We showed you that in the previous videos. You have to understand that. If you don't know what that is, guys, go look it up. Project Nexus of the BIS. So this project is for cross-border payments. They are not telling us what technology they are using, okay? So bear with me, because I will show you where this leads to. The third group comprises entities that are especially effective at creating consensus around policy views and standards of immediate priority. These are the G7 and G20. So now we look, okay, this is G20. What is G20? This is G20, guys. These are the members of G20. Look at the country. Japan. What just happened in Japan, guys? Japan released on-demand liquidity. It's a member of the G20. That means that other countries in the same G20 will follow. China, Canada, Brazil, Italy, Indonesia, South Africa, Turkey. A lot of countries will follow. United Kingdom, United States, European Union. It's almost the whole world. So this is something very obvious that is in front of our eyes and it's happening right now. Okay? They are working on CBDCs, which is obvious, we know that. But look at this, the ongoing on the G20 roadmap to enhance cross-border payments and by representing the needs and objectives of countries that are not part of these more selective groups. Now we know, guys, that Ripple is working with Japan. They released on-demand liquidity to improve cross-border payments. So what does that mean? That leaves us with one conclusion, that the rest will follow. It will take some time, but it will happen. I'm fully expecting another corridor to open up in Asia before the year is out. If not, I'll buy you all a drink. Hopefully you all water. This is a very good tweet because it will definitely happen. Other corridors are gonna open, guys, and everyone will follow. Japan's SBI Remit uses Ripple's ODL to provide cheaper remittances to the Philippines token post. And I just showed you the G20 countries. They are all involved together to enhance cross-border payments. You have to connect the dots. No one is going to do it for you, guys. You have to connect the dots yourself and you have to believe in it because this is what's happening. So this takes me to another one. Greg Kidd. Now, if you follow Bearable Bull, he did a whole episode about Greg Kidd, but if you didn't see it, stay tuned. I will show you who is Greg Kidd. He's very important. Ex-Fed Ripple CRO, first found investor, Twitter, Square, Coinbase. This guy is a very big, smart guy. He invested in Google, Twitter, Coinbase when they were very small. And he was Ripple CRO. He was working with Ripple. He was an ex-Federal Reserve killer. So guys, this is a very big guy. And he was working with Ripple. And now look at this. Global ID is releasing an XRP card. You can literally get an XRP card to spend your XRP with a debit card. Global ID is Greg Kidd's company. He's the CEO of Global ID. Okay, you see the dots now, guys. Let's take a look. Greg Kidd, your identity is a right and responsibility. From taking a company public on the NASDAQ to investing early in startups like Twitter, Square, and Ripple to a stint at the Federal Reserve, Greg Kidd is a serial entrepreneur and investor, founder of the Hard Yaka Investment Group, and co-founder and CEO of Global ID. So you can clearly see that this guy was working with Ripple. He did a lot of good stuff. He had an IPO. He has a lot of experience in this field. And here about Ripple, about banks taking over, whether banks are going to use XRP or not. So let's take a look at what he is saying.
XRP or anti-Ripple people is that banks won't use XRP. Will banks use XRP in your opinion?
Well, so we went through this, and one of the things I saw was like banks are going to be kind of like the last one to come to the party. So you see who the intermediate solution was that to go to not to banks, but to go to the money transmitters. And so when folks like MoneyGram start using XRP, or other folks that are in the money business and are moving money around, they're not as stodgy as banks, and they're not part of the correspondent banking boys club, right? So there's always going to be folks that are different points on the innovation and adoption curve, and and banks, despite whatever PR talk they take, they're very far back on that curve. But the money transmitters in the world have been more rock and roll in that, and that's been an easier market to get started in. We're still very, very early on in in bank adoption. Some of the early banks we did just used it because they were multinational, international banks that had different parts. They just used it to move money between their own, their own subsidiaries, right? So that was like the first usage, because they were still having to wire transfer just between their own subsidiaries, because there's no way to move money without correspondent banking, even when it's within your own bank. And they could do that without having to worry about persuading the other banks to do it. They could just persuade themselves to do it. Those are some of the early use cases.
Okay, well, most of the market to this point has been pure speculation, but I think that everybody would agree that the whole concept of XRP is that as there's more liquidity in the system, that there is a price rise along with it. What do you think makes the XRP price rise? When you take speculation out of it, what do you think is going to make that XRP price rise?
Well, there's a limited amount of XRP in the world. I mean, 100 billion sounds like a big number, but look, what is XRP competing with? Right now in the correspondent banking system, banks have to deposit money, nostro, vostro, all around the world. So there's pots of liquidity so that things can move from one silo to another. The way that all works is with pre-funded liquidity. And all that pre-funded liquidity happens in all the different fiat currencies of the world. So if you really want to be able to service money all around and move it, you've got to have all these pre-funded pots and all these different currencies. But if you could agree on one currency, and one that you could replenish, not just 9 to 5, but 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you'd need less liquidity, because you could see that when you're getting low, you can restock. And how long does it take to restock? 3 seconds. How much does it cost to restock? Less than a penny. And so the advantage of XRP is it's a much more efficient method of moving liquidity around. It would be like having an engine that ran on a teacup of oil rather than a gallon of oil. Everything still needs liquidity. Pre-funding is good, but when you can top up your pre-funding in 3 seconds, you need a lot less oil in the engine for the engine to work well. And that's what Ripple brought to the market.
Are you saying that?
So you clearly see that Greg Kidd, what he's saying about Ripple and what it's solving and what it's going to do. Now, this guy was working with the Federal Reserve. He was an early investor in all these big companies, and he's also an investor in Ripple, and he also owns XRP. So what do you think is going to happen? There are so many signs out there, and Greg Kidd is a very big sign that Ripple is gonna explode, guys, and it's gonna be like Google one day and like Amazon. So it's very, very obvious to us right now. Be cautious. Real estate bubble will burst if interest rates rise. Bargains after crash. Best bargain is still silver, still 50% below all-time highs. Bitcoin took $200 off of price of gold. Time to be patient, not greedy. Take care. So it's still coming, guys. This huge crash that you are waiting for, it's still coming. And it will happen 100%. They have printed trillions of dollars on money, guys. It is not sustainable and it will not last. There will come a big shift, and it's gonna be in August, most probably in August, because we are all waiting and the charts are looking splendid, very good. So we are waiting for the next big move. Be ready, guys. Keep your eyes open. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you find value. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next one. Cheers.